Okay, welcome everybody to Ryan's Reefy As Fuck tank tour. Ryan, if you want to just give us a little bit of background about who you are and how you get into the hobby and how you got to where you are now.
Sure. Um, so I'm Ryan Lewis. I live in northern Michigan. I got into reefing about 2017. My wife and I got out of the military, and I didn't do any saltwater. The only freshwater I did was like as a kid, and you had a little guppy tank that your parents let you have, and it was completely neglected. So I don't really consider myself getting into any kind of fish keeping or like that until about 2017 when we both got out of the military and we came back to Michigan, raised our kids, and her brother, Jason, wanted to move from Maine to Michigan. So he moved into it with us and he knew about the hobby and he got me on to, pistol shrimp, peacock mantis shrimp, and just how neat those critters were. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And I said, we should go down to Petco, just get a tank and we'll order some stuff offline. Um, and it was like a 70-gallon, what do you call them? Bookshelf tanks. They're kind of narrow, less than 12 inches deep. But they were, they were deep, but they're the width of them. And I got to tell you, I struggled and I struggled. I killed that tank over and over again. I feel like, um, it wasn't until, I really watched the BRS videos, right? And their breakdowns of ultimately when you're having problems, just basically do water changes. So I was a huge advocate for water changes, 10 gallons every week religiously. Um, and eventually it started working out. I upgraded some of my equipment. It made things a little easier. And when we moved from that house into this house, we had the opportunity to basically had to ask my wife, can I grow the system? Can I take up a portion of the house with this? And she's into the fish, right? She likes to look at it and watch it. So and I got to grow everything that you're about to see here in front of us from what was once a 70-gallon tank into this 500-gallon system. Um,
You have some monster colonies there. I mean, I don't know what size your head is, but in relation to the size of your head, let's say you've got a massive head. Those corals are fucking huge.
yeah. Um, I guess we'll just jump. This tank is 6 foot long by 4 foot wide, like 25 inches tall. Um, Let me
What
switch
a
my camera
dream.
around and we'll just take a little tour. I think I can do this here. All right.
Wow.
So it's like it's a peninsula.
It is a
Yeah.
peninsula.
Yeah.
Oh, I need it to focus. Hold on a second.
Wow.
So basically, what was the dining room we made? Oh, I hate this. I don't know how to get it to focus.
If you
Well,
got
I'm sorry.
have you got the really small orange lens, but you've now got the phone with the bigger lenses?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly right.
we've literally all been there.
Yep.
Every
I had to
single
buy
Absolutely.
one.
every person has ordered the new one.
Yeah,
Damn it,
That's okay
Ryan.
though.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you know the trick.
There you go.
Camera.
That's what Dave did. Yeah.
So I'll kind of just come in and we can take a look at the corals. And then when we go around the equipment, I'll just remove this. Um, it is a mixed reef tank. I tried, it's really hard to get the flow right. Flow, lighting. But like you said, some of these colonies just flourished and they got real big.
So much space.
So I'm gonna
Those
come
huge
around.
fish look so small.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
this is the 4 foot. So this was obviously 4 foot was the size of my first tank, but only like 10 inches deep. Um, and if you have any questions or just slow down, but I'll
So
take the line.
maybe you can walk us through a little bit, like of the of I mean, obviously not the whole build, but how you went about to get this as an established system. So you ordered a giant aquarium. It looks like you have an awesome custom built stand. Like,
Okay.
what was your
So
mindset when you were starting this project?
Well, I'm going to back up so you guys can see the room. When we got to this house, essentially there's two dining rooms. You can see the room over there by the sliding window, and then we had this room. And we talked about doing a 4 foot by 4 foot dedicated, like a clown harem tank or something, but something right in the center of the room. But as I got looking into it, it's like, well, let's just go 6 foot long, 4 foot wide, 25 inches tall. And I work at a welding shop, so I fabricated the whole stand myself. I ordered all the steel from Alro, cut it up myself, welded it myself. And all that floor, obviously, as you can see, it goes into the basement. So we'll go down there in a minute, and you'll see the filtration system and my frag tank. But the biggest thing was the weight. I didn't trust the flooring because this thing probably weighs 6,000 pounds. It's just, so if that didn't come through, essentially I built my own stand. And I didn't trust the joists of the floor to hold all the weight, so everything goes through the floor into the basement. So it's all held up by the concrete. I definitely got a little over my head building this, right? This is a huge system, going from a 70 gallon to this is 360 gallons, what you're looking at here. And it definitely, but it took a while to fill up, right? I mean, there's only so much money everybody has, and it's like you put this little 1/2-inch frag, so it took a long time to get these colonies that you see. And we moved in 2021, right when COVID was hitting, we moved in here. So, and my tank has gone through, like I said, I've had ick, I've had aptasia, I've had all those fun things that everybody gets. But it's just about keeping after it, I think, and looking. I'm going to pull this up and we can look at the lighting here in just a second.
That stand looks like it was built to hold up a building.
You said it goes, how does it go all the way down to the basement,
That's
right?
insane.
What do you mean?
I took one of those isoscellating saws. I don't know if you've seen those at those, like DeWalt. They just kind of, and I just cut little squares into the floor. And this square tubing goes all the way down into another square tubing. And then I've got like house floor jacks that I adjusted to height.
That's
underneath,
fantastic.
You know, just some basic gussets, some angle. I powder coated all this at work myself. And I bought this from Glass Cages. The tank is from Glass Cages, and they really helped with me talk about, you know, the amount of deflection that you're allowed to have in this piece of tubing. Like if that bowed more than 1/8 of an inch, it could break the glass on the bottom.
Yikes.
So I made sure I used 7-gauge steel for this 2x2 square tubing, and in the basement it's 11 gauge, so it's a little bit thicker down there because it doesn't have all the extra supports. And we'll go downstairs in a minute. I currently have, it started off with 6 Kessels, and then I added the Orphic strip lights. And then when my other tank crashed, I added the 2 Kessels that were on it, and I just kind of stuck them on the end. I don't know, they're really doing anything more than just some ambient light, but
We got to be doing something.
yeah, they got to be doing something. This angle up here, I powder coated black. That's all stainless steel. I didn't think, you don't get a whole lot of salt creep up there, but I didn't want anything. And this is all just scrap. A lot of this is, I didn't pay for any of this, right? This is all drops from work.
Sweet.
stuff they were going to throw away. I did pay for the square tubing on the bottom, though. I wanted to be sure that was good.
What about the woodworking? The stand looks amazing.
Okay, so the wood was my wife's idea. This is Eastern red cedar. You know, it's got that natural edge on the side. Obviously, it's really nice because you can just come up to the bar and enjoy the tank. It's just got the clear epoxy on the top of it to bring out that wood look. Wraps around, obviously.
I am sorry, but there is a dog. Can we meet the dog, please?
You want to see? She is a wire hair griffin.
She's gorgeous.
See her eyes?
Sorry, Ryan, there's always a section on it. You can't just ignore the dogs.
She's a good girl.
She's gorgeous.
Let's see. I've got two MP60s, which put out a ton of flow. But with a tank like this, I definitely feel like I need something in the center. Two MP60s on this end, and there's two of the Max Spec Gyre 350s pushing across the top. What else? Oh, hey, so this is 3/4 inch thick glass, and I got this. Oh my God, what is the Great White glass cleaner? And they recommend that for like 1 inch thick. And yeah, this thing is so strong. It just ripped all the felt off this thing. It's like a little towel on there. So when they say 1 inch thick glass, like don't think you're gonna get like more glass cleaning out of that stuff. It's pretty powerful.
I've got the Aquamedic version of that, and the felt on the outside got completely wrinkled up because of the grip.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Let me put this back.
Curtains are a good idea.
Yeah, so we sit on the couch, right? And those castles are just blinding. So we took some blackout curtains. We have a Home Depot. It's just a track that you can just screw to the ceiling, and I can pull them open and shut. So I don't have a hard canopy to open, but it's nothing for me just to pull this stuff up and get into the tank.
Cool.
You know, pull the lids up and do what I need to do.
That's a great idea.
But we don't know. It's unfortunate my lens doesn't clip on there. It sucks.
You'll be on Amazon shortly. Don't worry about it. We've all done it.
Yeah. But I really do like the acros. I wish I could get some good shots for you guys, but because the tank is just so deep, it's hard to really see how big some of these are. But
wow,
a lot of these bigger colonies may have started out, they weren't just single frags. You can tell the ones that have encrusted on, like those ones in the center. But
what's that acro to the left? That giant stag right there above the candy canes, the trumpets.
Oh, back this way.
Yeah, that one right there.
I don't know what its name is. It's got a hint of green and it's blue.
Maybe like a Cali Torrent or something.
Possibly, but it's huge. I would say it's the size of a basketball. If it gives you a scale of, I know it's difficult.
I think we should just rename it right now. Let's just call it Ryan's Rager.
Ryan's Rager. I'd take a few pieces of Ryan's Rager.
Probably. All right. So my favorite coral, I bought it years ago. is that Walt Disney that's encrusting right there. And it has been in both my tanks. And I've given a piece to Zach because my tanks have gone up and down, and it dies off, it comes back. I tried the other year to try to get that Redfield ratio, right, that everybody was talking about. And I was dosing, my phosphates were really low. My nitrates were like 50, pushing 60. And I was like, well, I'm going to dose some phosphate in here. And as I was swinging that pendulum everybody talks about, my phosphates started going way too high, and I couldn't stop it. I ended up growing hair algae throughout this whole tank, and it was covering up coral. It was killing things off. So then I'm trying to battle it back, right? I thought to myself, well, I'm gonna dose some Vibrant, and I'm gonna kill off that algae before it takes two hold. But then when I dosed the Vibrant, it killed off way too much stuff, right? So although the tank looked good for a minute, it swung back hard the other way, and algae came back even more. So then I was like, all right, I know better than this. I know good things happen slowly. So you see there's still hair algae in here, and I'm battling it back, and it's doing a good job now. But the color of my corals used to be much, much more vibrant. I was dosing KZ 4-part for supplemental, and I wasn't doing water changes. So now I've reverted back to kind of my roots. I'm doing water changes. I'm not doing so much of the supplements anymore, just till I get the hair algae under control. And then I'll, try to go back to where I was. And I'm not going to concern myself with that Redfield ratio that, I don't think it's important.
Smart.
I think my phosphates were,
I
0.02,
fell for it too.
0.01.
I think I persuaded you in the wrong way, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
that's what you do.
I heard an interview with Mike Paletta, and everybody talks about that Redfield ratio, and I mean we all know it's somewhat bullshit, but Mike had mentioned that he kind of like did a internal survey with his favorite reefers who have awesome displays, and their ratio was all more like 100-1.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, I mean, really, have your nutrients stable, have your nutrients, and your corals are going to love it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that 100%. I think we had gosh, it feels like a year ago now. We had the local reef get together at my house, and we said things were more towards it's better then, but the colonies were smaller. Like the LPS doesn't care, that the algae was growing. You see these trumpets and candy canes. I mean, they're just going nuts. They're like a weed almost. I've got so many of them. My torch corals were taken off. But all those acros did not like it at all. I guess any more thing you guys want to see up here before we go to the basement?
I'd like to know, how did you start off the tank? Did you buy a bunch of live rock? Did you cure rock? Did you sculpt this all with dry rock?
Okay.
And then what was your approach to adding corals and fish? Did you take your time, or did you just throw corals in right away? Because it's a pretty young system, right? It's 3 years old.
Yeah, 3 years. Okay, so that brother-in-law I was telling you about, he lost his job, and he was in my basement. I had the stand fabricated. I had the glass on order. And so I bought a few 100 pounds of dry rock, and he was in the basement, and he aquascaped this negative space aquascape, right? But we seeded it with rock from my 70-gallon, which was still going at the time. So I had some, good bacteria, the aquabiomics, and that I sent tests in, and the ICP everything was looking really good with that system to seed this. Although I do know from that system, I had ick. I knew that going into it, but everything in there was stable and fine. I was managing it. I did. Let's see. Coral, I just kind of throw in the system. I'm not quarantining coral. I set up a quarantine tank a year or two ago because I used to have an Achilles tang in here. But the coral I'm not too concerned with that, I suppose. Just put it in. Knock on wood. I haven't had red bugs or nudibranchs or anything like that. I haven't had any like pests, so to speak, that are eating away at the coral. Fish, I will quarantine now. I do have a system in the basement that I can fire up. But when I set this up, I didn't. It was all fish in the system. Let's see. Did I touch on everything?
Your brother-in-law aquascaped this. You put it in the tank. You added a bunch of rock from your 70, and you let it all kind of stabilize within this tank. Is that how you did it?
Yeah, that's right. I think, what is it? Turbo Start. I think I bought some Turbo Start in the beginning.
And then did you add, how quickly after you put the rock in this tank were you adding fish, adding coral?
Oh gosh, now you're making me think. You know, I definitely let it sit with no lights for a little while. I covered it up with the blanket.
So you kind of cured and let all the new dry rock turn into live rock for a little bit before you started really.
I took this. Yeah,
because there's the two approaches, you know. Some people say throw coral in right away because that will help seed things, and I did the opposite. I kind of did what you did, and I let the whole system kind of stabilize before I added coral. I didn't want to throw a bunch of coral in there to kill it. I don't have coral at my disposal to add to a tank and just see if it's going to survive or not. So, but some people say go that route. So it's interesting because my tank is a smaller version of yours, and I find it interesting that it seems like people who start with dry rock and take it really slow have issues. You get through some algae problems, and then the fucking thing takes off, and it just goes. And it's like, how do you got all this coral growth? Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just a stable system. I let it stabilize, and that's what yours is looking like. It looks amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well, I know. So when I started this off, at the time we had a local fish shop. It was called Funky Fish and Friends. And the owner, Steve, I went in there. I said, you know, Steve, I'm 8 months into this. I haven't had an ugly phase. And he's like, you might not. He's like, you might not. I did eventually have an ugly phase, but it wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't like the algae that I had when I was dosing phosphate. It transitioned, I thought, pretty good. And I don't know if it's because of, you know, the sheer water volume or if it was the lights at the time, you know, because I added more lights as we went. But I mean, agree.
It sounds like you added enough rock from your 70 that you gave it a huge jump start with some real good live rock.
Yeah. And when we get to the basement, you'll see where all the rock that I bought to aquascape is in the sump. So I don't know if that adds a bunch more surface area and there's, you know, more bacteria to grow. That was my thought behind just keeping it in there. If anything, it's seasoned rock. So I think you guys will like the way I heat the tank. Some of you may have seen it on Reef to Reef, but I heat it with a hot water heater from my house. I don't use electric heaters.
Is that like Alex Big system? Has he got some sort of thing plumbed in?
That's what Alex G does. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched the videos. You know, YouTube is my best friend because over here in Gaylord, I don't know anybody that reefs. I mean, everybody I know is over in Petoskey, you know, Traverse City. They're all like an hour drive away. So everything I've done is pretty much and actually after I bought this tank is when I met, you know, Russell introduced me to the Reef group, right? And so all of this stuff I kind of set up just by watching BRS. I don't watch BRS so much anymore after they merged. I wasn't real crazy after Ryan and Randy, you know, their little experiments, you know, I thought those were neat, but once your tank's established, you don't really want to mess with it anymore.
Do you know how
So-
many fish you have in there?
Oh
You got a
gosh.
couple tanks. You got a sailfin, a purple, a yellow.
Let's see. I wrote this down because I was thinking before we got here.
There's
All right, I got
a rasa in there.
I took notes.
all right. We have blue-green chromis, clownfish, anthias, Malinaris wrasse, pajama cardinals, gem tang, sailfin tang, yellow tang, royal grandma, couple firefish, diamond goby, dragon goby. I can't remember the name. There's a blue line fish I put in there because it cleans up, it eats the ick off the tangs. Flasher wrasse. Yeah, I got and then there's more in the basement, but I got harlequin shrimp and cleaner shrimp. What else?
The gem tang hasn't. I haven't seen it. Have you guys seen it? It hasn't made an appearance.
Yeah, it's right there.
Right
You
there.
thought you thought it was the purple, I think.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Floating around.
So do you manage to keep your harlequin shrimp fed enough, Ryan?
Oh my gosh, I had thousands of astrina starfish. I mean, there was just a ton of them. So yeah, I can definitely tell he's made a difference. He usually comes out under this green Monty, but it's usually in the morning and he hides. But he's to put a dent in the population for sure. Or at least they know he's around, so they're hiding. I don't know.
Yeah, they're amazing looking animals.
Yeah, they're just little.
Wow, this looks so nice.
Thank you.
Really a dream dimensions for a tank. Plus, it's a peninsula. It's really glamorous, I might say.
Yeah, it's so set up for the viewer. It's
Yeah.
perfect. Love it.
You don't. Your rock doesn't seem to be. You don't have very much coralline.
No, see when my tank crashed with that phosphate I was talking about, I lost it. I don't know. The whole system went upside down. Which some people hate coralline, right? So it's like some people think it's a good thing. I kind of
Yeah.
liked it because algae doesn't want to grow on the coralline.
Yeah.
But you're right, it does look pretty white at the moment.
I'm not saying it
kind-
looks bad. It's just a tank that's doing that well. I'm surprised not to see coralline everywhere.
Yeah.
It all looks very, very clean. How much time did you
Yeah.
spend on it last night?
You know, the snorkel on.
I mean, your gyres look like you've just taken them out the fucking box.
Yeah. But good. I did soak these MP60s. They needed it. That was one good thing about this is I did some maintenance I wouldn't normally do. But let's go downstairs because I think you guys will think this is interesting.
I was just going to say, when do we get to see this bit?
Don't make me beg now.
I feel like I want to do a drum roll.
What's with the cinder block basements there? We have all poured concrete.
What's with
What
fucking
for?
basements? What's with basements?
Okay. So let me see here.
This looks
Try to
like
give you
a fairground. That tiny wee tank to the left there has the same. Is that the same size steel stand as your one upstairs?
no.
The fuck?
It's an aluminum stand that I welded up just out of scrap metal, but that's a 55-gallon tank. Okay, so real quick,
Yeah, don't
The
distract
tank-
him from what he's trying to
I'm
do.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Fucking Ron's fault.
Squirrel.
Loser.
So the tank upstairs has these legs right here, and I adjusted it all to the uneven concrete floor, with these bottle jacks, not bottle, they're threaded jacks. And then I just put a big steel plate underneath it just to spread the weight out. But they go and they're bolted on, through the floor. And it's
That is
really
fantastic.
I have never seen anything
Yeah,
like
that
my
is
life.
brilliant. That is brilliant.
we'll kind of
Not
come
gonna
over.
fall through the floor.
No.
Hmm.
Well,
If it does, it's not your fault.
Yeah, no shit.
it's like over the
Random
years. I
tornado.
mean, are those 2x10s going to start cupping, and become like a C shape and compressing? Because I don't know, there's just a ton of weight. It's just so much weight up there. We'll kind of come in for a little closer. So this is the titanium heat exchanger that you guys are probably familiar with from the other guy you were saying. It's all ran off my Apex. I try to keep my system currently at between 76 and 77 degrees. So I want to hit 76. This pump turns on, this gate valve opens up, and then coming off my water heater, it just draws the water hot sticks it back into cold. That way my natural gas is heating up the water, and as it passes through the tank system water, those chambers are hot. I don't know how hot the hot water is, but a couple hours to heat up, a couple hours to cool down. So off and on, it's probably a few times a day that it kicks on.
Alex does it different. He doesn't have a heat exchanger. He just runs the, what is it, PBX coil? He
Yeah,
just
he just
runs
runs
like
a loop
100
of
foot of
PEX.
PBX coil
Okay.
rolled up in a spool in his sump.
Yep.
So
Okay, I've seen that.
he just runs the hot water through tubing back to his hot water heater just to keep, and then he's got it hooked up to an Apex, which tells him like turn the hot water off or whatever.
Yeah. So that I seen that idea, and I wasn't sure what was the best, right? Like I said, I don't know anybody that has this. I didn't know anybody to ask. And when you get online, you don't know who's talking to you. I don't know if you're getting some new guy. So I seen a good video on this, and it's like, a few $100 into that titanium heat exchanger, and then another $100 or $200 into the controls, and I was off and running. I do keep electric heaters on hand just in case.
This looked far simpler than Alex, but I mean, obviously, Alex is dealing with a slightly larger volume of water, as we all know.
This is cool.
Okay, I have, let's see, as far as the UV sterilizer, this is the Pentair 80-watt UV sterilizer, and I'm running it on that Octo, I think it's a 2,700 gallon pump, and it does a good job for like the parasites. I don't think I could run it at high enough flow from the basement here for algae. I mainly bought this and set it up for the tangs. And the problem with these is that a lot of people, there's no room to pull the bulbs out, right? So down in my basement, that bulb can go all the way up to the ductwork because it's 4 feet long. I don't know how people even install those underneath their tanks. And then
This
the main
guardrail is smart.
this is the Reef Flow Hammerhead Barracuda. I actually have the Barracuda impeller in it right now. It's a little bit less power, but it's not ripping upstairs. And I might switch back to the Barracuda, or I'm sorry, the Hammerhead. But this has been a good pump. But with these pumps, the seals go bad. So you probably have heard that about these Reef Flows. Every year I've had to tear this thing apart and put new seals in it. Which the first time it happened, I was really worried. This skimmer is just something I picked up cheap. It's a Reef Octopus 200 internal. Technically, that's awfully small for this size tank, but it's been doing a good job. And then just a tub of water where all the rock, like I was talking about. I'm still doing filter socks. Everybody's talking up filter rollers. But I don't know. That
It's all
might be
right. I
something.
haven't put mine in yet.
Oh,
It's all right, Beth. Nobody was going to ask.
Yeah.
It's not the single subject we all think about as soon as we hear your name.
Thanks.
Oh no, roller filters for the win. I cannot speak highly enough about them. Love them.
okay.
Ooh.
So I threw this in because I had a couple of clams upstairs, and then I was buying fish that were nipping at the clams. So I was like, I have got to do something. I don't want to get rid of my clams. They had these low boy tanks over in Petoskey. So I picked it up. I drilled out the glass and then installed this coming off the sump. It's just got one of them, it's hard to see. Just drilled a hole in that rubber tote and just one of those press fittings. But honestly, I like this tank a lot because I can maintain it better. It's below chest height. It's not very deep. When I have corals upstairs that are doing bad, I bring them down here. And some of the corals just don't want to be in that display. So even though it's the same water system, I can dial this in better as far as light. And some corals want to be spot fed. Like these are all jawbreaker mushrooms, and it's like
Holy mushrooms.
they are a weed. I have, I don't know, 100 of them. I mean, they're everywhere.
Wow.
They're everywhere.
Holy shit.
So, actually, funny story. My wife bought that mushroom, that one with all that color, and it was like $180. We were at the frag swap down in Lansing, and I'm like, "Are you sure you want to spend $180 on a mushroom?"
Oh, her.
And then it survived. It lived because it had no color yet. It was just yellow, and I didn't understand, what she was buying. I didn't know. I was too new to the hobby. When we moved from our old house to the new house, the mushroom detached and I couldn't find it. And I was like, crap. And then when we found it, it was on this Maxima clam. It was sitting on the side of it. And then as that clam would open and close up throughout the day, that mushroom got mad and it would start moving. And then it'd leave a foot and there'd be another mushroom and another mushroom. So eventually I took a razor blade and I cut all the mushrooms off that Maxima and then set them in a basket. And then all them feet that I cut off all grew again. So that Maxima clam's got a ton of mushroom on it. And then all the mushroom in the baskets, and upstairs there's a ton of jawbreakers. So it's kind of a neat thing. But I think my quote unquote dirty water system, I think they really liked it. Right. I just think something about that low phosphate, high nitrate, they were just growing insane.
They like it dirty.
Yeah, and you also you're growing coral waffles, I see.
Oh yeah.
You should patent that shit. Ryan's coral waffles.
Is that a single red Ghani? Just one big colony?
Yeah.
Or
Oh my
multiple
God.
frags?
I need to cut it. It's going to be too big to put in the bandsaw.
Oh,
That's crazy.
Wow.
I thought about buying one of those bandsaws, those extra large ones.
you
I'm like,
should.
"Crap, that's a lot of money." Oh.
They're really good. I mean, if you're going to really be cutting corals in the future, I would strongly recommend it.
Sell a couple jawbreakers, trade a couple jawbreakers for one.
Yeah, that would be the way to go.
Yeah, you could spare a couple.
Onlyshrooms.com.
Maybe half dozen.
You should put those on eBay, man.
Yeah,
I
do
should.
people,
Something.
do people eat
should put them somewhere.
mushrooms with waffles? You could do a wee deal.
Can you walk us through like the water draining from your
Sure.
display, where it goes, and then what's next, how it goes through that filtration system?
All right. So, I guess starting up here. Wait, get this damn stand. All right. You recognize the red pipes from upstairs. They're coming down. Two of them break off, obviously, to go to the UV sterilizer. two of them are going up to return to the tank, and then these two big white ones come down to the filter socks. This is UHMW. It's something we use on the conveyors at my work. I just took a chunk, drilled some holes out, and put these filter socks. Let's see if I can get better lighting. And I really only run 2 filter socks at a time. From there, let's see. There's a pump in the back that just has a line that goes to the frag tank. And then that can, just spits out into here. So that's kind of a closed loop right in this system. These 2 tanks are connected by these 2 valves with a little clear. I keep this, this piece of plastic over top so I don't get any algae growing in there. But the 2 tanks are connected for that. After the fact, that's not big enough. The amount of water my pump wants to pull can't drain water out of this tub fast enough. So I ended up having to do supplemental pumps. I have a pump just going from this tank to this tank to help it out. And let's see. And then the main pump pulls from this one into the reef flow upstairs. I don't know if
You have
that
an external return.
Yes. Yep. So that. So that comes around into the reef flow. I put one of these, useless, what the hell do you call them? Shut off valves. Yeah, they get dirty, they don't work. But when the power goes out, it helps slow the water that siphons from upstairs, down into here. Through the heat exchanger. Splits off into 2 different sections, so one for each side of the tank, and then upstairs it goes.
You just mentioned when power goes. What do you do when power goes?
That was my next question. I was like, so where does it all drain to? How does it all work?
Yeah. All right. I do have an 8,000 watt generator in the garage. If the power goes out, my Apex will let me know. And I don't get a lot of power outages because our power's underground and we're pretty close to the power station. So they don't need to shut us down very often. But in the couple of years we've been here, it's, 2, maybe 3 times. So
you had a tornado. You had a tornado.
Yeah, we had a tornado. I still had power. So
I see you've got a wee army of brute bins on wheels in the corner there, ready to roll out.
Yeah. Get there. So again, this was kind of that BRS inspired, Ryan put his Apex on a tablet. I can come down here, obviously, and just keep an eye on stuff. I can use my phone too. So the brute force can, this one is all calc. You can see I'm topping it off right now. And I'll go through 44 gallon of calc in about a week and a half. So however that works out per day, but I have it set to about 15,000 milliliters a day. It tries to dose. The trouble is I think these get clogged up. I clean these out because that calc wants to calcify. So even though I've got it set to say 15,000, I might not be truly getting 15,000 milliliters of calc a day. I do supplement with a little bit of alkalinity. This is something I just started. Obviously I didn't do that in the beginning, but that's not a ton. That's just supplemental. I have, all right. So I know you guys mentioned in previous videos, like I am maxed out. My power is at 14, 15 amps on a 15 amp breaker. So it's like, I am trying to use other outlets of the house. I mean, I'd love to go through the Apex for everything, but I'd have to upgrade my wiring to keep doing that. And this is not a showcase wiring. I don't care about wiring. I mean, it is what it is. This tub right here, And that is just RODI water. If I need it, I keep it full. Obviously in the winter time, the air is so dry, I'll turn that on. And then we'll go back, as you mentioned, these ones.
Oh, wee sneaky tank in the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the quarantine tank I would set up, but I don't need it. RODI water. I'm just running these basic, canister RODI systems. I can't remember what brand those are. Aqualations or something, but I'll try to keep 2 44-gallon tubs of RO water ready to go. And like this, so this is a 110-gallon tank. I don't need that much for quarantine. It's just so much more to have to dose. I'll only fill it up about halfway, clean it up. When I had my Achilles tang, he would get like an ick flare up. I'd pull him out. I'd just put him in there, treat him with copper, get him back to health, and then throw him back upstairs. But ultimately, that was just a losing battle. And I love that fish, but it's irresponsible to buy another one, for my system. What else?
How much water? You said you got back to your roots. That's a huge system. How much water are you changing?
So 44 gallons. I'll do one entire tub, salt it up. I got one empty, so just drain one out, put the other one in, and that's almost 10%. So 50 gallons would be the goal, but 44 I'm happy with. And the corals
weekly or bi-weekly?
Weekly.
Wow.
40. And we all want to talk about salt.
Working.
I have used in the past, I've had really good success with the Pro Reef salt. But because it was so cheap, I just bought 4 buckets of this reef crystals. And because I'm going through so much of it now, before, when I really wasn't doing water changes or my 70-gallon, I didn't mind doing this. I think this mix up a lot cleaner. I'm doing these reef crystals in this 44-gallon tub, and there's like a brown tint to the salt. I don't understand that. It doesn't matter if I let it set up. Yeah, if I let it set up a day or just 4 hours, I still see it. Where I didn't get that with the Pro Reef.
Yeah, we all have that problem with reef crystals.
Yeah, and I don't.
But it's cheap and it works.
Yeah. Yeah. What else?
What's that like?
This is the Neptune Sky. I'm getting about 180 par right there at the clams, and this tank's 4 foot wide, so often these corners it's like 50, 60 par. The upstairs par is around 250 underneath them Kessels.
Are you
but again,
dealing with algae in that tank at all? Like you had algae in your upstairs tank, this one doesn't?
Yeah, no, I get it in this one, but I swap out these racks. I just take them out, swap the corals around, take the racks to the power washer. But like I said, I have noticed it getting less and less.
You got some good algae munching fish in that tank too.
Yeah. Yeah. Pick them up from Zach. What else?
How long have you had those clams, did you say? The blue, was it the blue one?
That Maxima I've had almost since the beginning. So 7 years or so.
Wow.
But that other, what is it, Durasis clam? That other one that's more red, that thing grew like a weed. It grew fast. You could just see the calcium rings just popping on that thing when I first got it. But it hit this point and it's kind of slowed down. I don't know if they just hit a certain point, and then they're done. I can't really see the mantle side of it, but
sounds like you got a lot of weeds in your tank. I need to get me some of those.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, and like my basement, I mean, I have all this room. I mean, I could go that way, more tanks.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fucking basements.
Some raceways.
Yeah.
To JB. Talk to JB.
I think it's
Yeah.
cool that you have that tank to have your corals in and a calm space for things and somewhere to put things that are feeling a bit unwell and things. I think it's an excellent idea.
You're gonna need a whole one of those just for the mushrooms.
You know, I seriously thought about doing another tank just for mushrooms.
Yeah.
Do it.
And your hammers grow like crazy, like weeds.
Yeah.
Like weeds.
Yeah.
Well, what I think I bought, well, I cut them up, but like these gold torches, I got from Zach, and I think it was 2 heads. I mean, and they turned into like 16. It just seemed like within a few months, they were so fast.
Mm,
But again, that was before the crash.
right.
I wouldn't even know you had a crash by looking at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I shouldn't call it a crash. It was a setback. But
And your
And your wife
trumpet.
is supportive.
oh man, she pays for the whole thing. No, she's supportive of it. It keeps me from doing anything other than crazy,
Damn
This
right,
hobby of
she's
keep-
supportive. She's on this tour. That's the first time I've ever seen. She's joined a disgusting, filthy Discord just to support her husband in his hobby. So I think that's an amazing thing to have done.
And she works for the post office, so she's delivering mail right now. So she's just listening. But
So what are your future plans then, Ryan? Or is that something you'd rather not talk about while your wife's on?
no. Honestly, I've been listening to this, was it Frag Garage, and he does a lot of that moonshiners. And I think once I'm settled, I might try that Reef Moonshiners and try to dial in all those elements. Does anybody here do the Reef Moonshiners? No.
Define
You know,
settle.
the closest person to Reef Moonshiners was Scotty when he was active here, because he's a fucking chemist. So he had like, 15 different vials of chemicals that he mixed up himself that he was slowly dosing. But he didn't really use moonshiners. He did it off of his own chemistry background. Got his ICP tests himself, did dosing off of his own chemical creations, like things that they wouldn't even recommend to normal people.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just don't like I'm hearing about stuff like fluoride or fluorine, I think they're saying,
Yeah.
and it makes a big difference. But if you don't test for it, you can really screw it up. And it makes me nervous, but also, we all want good coloration, and if that's what it needs, and
Are you dosing any trace elements?
let's see. So I was doing KZ 4-part, but I stopped because I wasn't sure what was adding to my breakout of green hair algae. So I am still doing amino acids. What else? And every once in a while I have like this KZ supplemental.
Which ones? Amino acids.
Ooh, let me grab them real quick.
I tried amino acids. They just made my corals look like shit. But I have a dirty tank, so maybe that's why.
I think I had good luck with Brightwell's aminos.
See, mine look better since I stopped with the Brightwell amino.
I like it.
Yeah.
What did we have? What did you have, Ron? What were we using? It was Acro Power or something?
Acro Power, and somebody said that Julian Sprung said at one point.
Somebody.
Yeah. Was it you that actually Was it fucking you that actually said, "Oh, I've heard Julian Sprung talking about his own product, and he says don't dose it daily, do one dose a week." So Jim and
Yeah,
I,
he said that it doesn't do anything daily.
yeah, so you and I fucking jumped on the bandwagon,
Sent it.
dosed it, and I lost all color.
Jeez.
Like literally,
Yeah.
I came in the next day. I was like, "Fucking hell!" And it was blocking my lines with a. I mean, it's a completely pure water, transparent fluid. But as I was dripping it into my sump, the end of the nipple where it was dripping into my sump was crusting up with white. And then I actually looked up the lines and realized that the entire line was just solid white right up and through the doser. So I went back to daily dosing, didn't see any difference, and then took it off. I'm not doing it anymore. Thanks, Jim. I take it you don't use it anymore.
What?
140 milliliter dose, and I have a whole fucking gallon. I don't know what to do with.
Brilliant. That's what you want. Stick it in a stew.
Beef stew
A beef stew.
with pie crust.
Pie crust. Steak power. Sorry, Ryan. I can edit this out.
That's fine.
We were talking about aminos and now we're on to fucking pies. And then there's a dog and I can't concentrate.
Oh.
Ah! Sorry, you are using KZ now. I looked into KZ and there was about 750 bottles and just went, nope. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it.
I basically just bought like this is not for the program. Just this bottle just is basic supplementation, right? So I'm going for those. There's that KZ4 part. I was just doing, was it 5 mils per 50 gallon, whatever they recommended, and I was just doing that. And the corals look good, but they kind of look pastel. People say that about the Zeovit system. They have like a pastel look, and I did kind of notice that, but the color was good. It just wasn't that deep, rich color that you would come to expect.
I think nutrients have a lot to play with that too, and lighting.
Yeah.
It's a whole combination.
And flow.
I'm just amazed that you have such huge coral growth, and you haven't gone the route of just a generic trace supplement yet. Like you're obviously, your corals are uptaking a shit ton of whatever's in your system, whatever they need. We don't know everything yet. But they're using it because they look beautiful and they're growing great. So my philosophy was always, got to add something back. I don't think 10% water changes is enough to replenish for a full week that amount of coral growth.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, we have replenish on our systems, on all of them, like the Stony systems.
Is that like an isolate, like just a kind of generic
So
all-in-one?
Yeah. I just do like a little bit less than what's recommended because I have the same thought. Probably just got to be adding some.
Yeah, but then there's the argument that, well, there is probably something in that all-in-one that isn't getting used up, and if you do it for a long period of time, you could get a buildup of something that you don't want.
Right. That ICP test is once a year, right? Maybe if you want to do one, it's not too expensive, and that would just put you
I've
right
never
back on
done one.
track.
Well,
Ryan,
that
have you done
moon-
ICPs? You did aquabiomics.
Yeah, I did I've done a couple ICPs, especially in the beginning. I wanted to know where I was deficient. I just bought another one because I want to see where I'm at now, but I haven't sent it in. But like when you get on that Reef Moonshiners, it's like once a month or once every other month. And I want to make sure that when I go that, it's like I'm ready for, $60 tests every month plus the bottles they recommend. And it's like, I'm not quite ready, but the ICP at least gives you an idea of like, you've got a magnet leaking somewhere, right? There's something going on in there and you need to figure out what it is. Because on my other tank, I had that, weird metals leaching out, and it turned out being one of my pumps.
Oh, really?
But that
Like a
with
wave
that-
maker?
But when my first tank, Zach, I was buying like cheap Petco current loop lights, no par, right? And it was just basic setup. And then, I finally went to a Kessel. That's why I have so many, I guess, because it changed everything. All of my coral were so much happier than that generic blue light that you can buy at the pet store because I didn't know any better. Looking at it now, even now that I'm further in the hobby, if I could get away from the Kessels and completely flop out, I probably would. But the Kessels have been real good to me. But then when you got a 6-foot tank, you need 4 lights. So, $3,000-4,000 right there. But then after listening to you guys, maybe I just need to get black boxes, right?
No, I don't think so. Those Kessels are so nice. Such great color.
It worries me like that moonshiners can get so expensive. And I mean, to me, it seems like it's just another system that like all these different reefing philosophies where they basically boil down to follow a philosophy and stay consistent with that philosophy. Don't try and pluck 35 different pieces of 35 different philosophies. You're just asking for trouble. And Moonshiner seems like another philosophy of if you follow this to a T, you're going to have success. So,
True.
So if you want to do it, I mean, it sounds like, yeah, you got to spend 6 months, 8 months to a year religiously ICP testing and dosing drops of 37 different bottles. And you're going to see results. But you already have results, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Your system works.
Are you getting bored, Ryan?
Yeah, that's
Don't answer that in front of your wife.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I was looking into coral spawnings back there for a little bit, setting up a dedicated system in the basement.
It's echoing again.
Where'd the echo come from?
Now I'm echoing.
I'm echoing.
I think we're all echoing.
It's everybody.
It's not me.
This is awesome.
If somebody has
Let's do a whole show.
What are you doing, Ron?
Ron,
somebody needs to shut their asshole. There's a
No, no,
fucking
no, no,
echo.
no.
Ron. I don't like you.
Oh, really?
I'm a homo.
That didn't echo.
No.
I don't know. I don't think it's on mine.
Moving on.
Great Lakes coral shirt's not nice enough to wear out. You cut the sleeves off?
I had to cut the sleeves off of it.
Oh.
Bro, I want to wear it more.
So you've added to the pile of sleeves.
I just cut this morning.
That's so funny.
But
I can do
anything
that.
else you guys would like to see?
Can we do it all once again?
What is
No.
your biggest win and your biggest fail so far in the hobby, Ryan?
Oh gosh. Probably my biggest win is convincing my wife to spend this kind of money.
That is the correct answer. Well done. You have passed with flying colors.
My biggest fail, probably when I was cutting up zoas and got really sick.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Did
Oh
you?
yeah.
Did you get palattoxin poisoning?
I didn't know what it was at first, but then I get like flu-like symptoms, sweating, chills, and I was really nervous. Probably my biggest fish.
And how do you deal with? Do you just not have zoas now?
No, they're down in the basement, but I don't do much with them. I don't feed them, pay much attention to them.
Cut them up outside with a chainsaw. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Whilst pissing on them just to get all the nasty stuff away. Too far for Jim. Jim gives me this dad look sometimes. You know you've really, really gone too far when the glasses come off, and he just now and again. Does anyone have any other questions for Ryan? Jim, you've got to have more questions.
I've asked a lot of questions.
Your water change, how do you actually do a water change? I take it you don't have automatic water change set up?
No, manually. I just throw the pump down the 55-gallon tub and, spend about 30 minutes doing it.
Thank you, Ryan.
No excuse for you, Pat.
Come on.
Roller filler.
Fuck off.
So what do you feed Ryan?
PE mysis pellet, and then I'll do frozen mysis, frozen brine. But I switch it up.
Do you ever use any food soaks or supplements?
I have not. There was a time I was making my own food, but that was short-lived because it was so much work.
And when you say your own food, do you mean you were buying like fish and shellfish and things and blending it all up?
Yeah, kind of like the BRS was doing. They had a couple episodes on how to do it. You're buying all those.
That's what I do.
You make your own food, Jason?
Yeah.
And do you blend it all up? Do you have a specific blender for it?
No.
You don't just use the house blender to make your fucking food.
I absolutely do.
Do you pack it all into all the sleeves of your t-shirts just to wring it out? Just a little.
Fuck you, Ron. Fuck you.
Big fishy sleeves.
Oh,
I have small tanks, so I make food like once a year.
Good, Jim.
Dickhead.
Todd might
Fuck
get
you,
upset
Jim.
if you cut the sleeves off of that. Oh, we're back there in the basement. What's happening?
Yeah, I forgot to plug all these pumps in.
So what was your reason for dosing the Red Sea alkalinity? Did you just say just to boost your alkalinity level?
Yeah, my calc wasn't keeping up. So I'd like to keep it around 9 if I can, but it wasn't holding. It was like 7, 8.
So you're using you've got a trident, I saw.
Yep.
And you're not using that to dose, you're just using it to monitor?
Right. So I have the dose for my calc and my alk. I will double check all these results with my Henna testers. And I keep all the testers in my workbench.
That's almost.
look, he's got a whole toolbox for
Yeah.
fish stuff.
You've
Man, I
got a
need to get one of those.
This is what I'll do once in a while. It's like a KD. It's supposed to be,
Spurin elements.
I don't dose that very often. And this is what I nuke my tank on.
I've never seen anything like that.
And I will feed reefroids once in a great while. I haven't done it since that algae outbreak.
Do you dose all of that stuff to the sump and then let it get pumped upstairs?
Okay, so I will dose that in these red lines where the main pump takes it upstairs. So the pump itself is kind of mixing it in as it's going up the tubes.
Okay.
But the reefroids I'll spot you.
Such a cool setup. And
All right, Ryan, oldest fish and oldest coral.
Oldest coral. I don't know. I like my gem tank. Probably my coolest fish. Oldest coral.
We're in Ryan's head now. You can hear him.
Yeah.
So echoing. You know, I'm trying to think back to that 70-gallon. It's got to be these mushrooms or a couple of these encrusting the waffles.
The waffles.
Yeah.
But
So
if I get any bigger than
oldest
this, I'm
fish?
gonna oldest fish.
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably that black storm clownfish.
The biter.
Actually, yeah, I think Russell got that.
Okay.
But
So is Great Lakes Corals your local fish store, Ryan?
yeah, if a 45-minute drive is local, but that would be the closest one to me.
No, it's more than 45 minutes for you. It's 45 for me.
I think we make a great triangle. But yeah, I think Petoskey is about 45 minutes from Gay Lake.
Huh. I thought it was longer.
Yep, give or take.
Mm.
You've got that grow light in that sump there. Are you growing anything in it, or is it?
All right, so I was trying to encourage that hair algae to grow in my stump here, where I can manage it. That hair algae upstairs, my tank is so big I can't reach the center.
Okay.
So I got that Kessel grow light from my old system. I tried buying the grow light through the 8-packs, but I don't think it grows very much.
And is that a mangrove?
Yeah, I picked that up when Funky Fish and Friends went out of business. But it doesn't grow very much. But it's in there.
That's cool though. We can't get them here. I would love that. That would be the ultimate crossover of my two hobbies. But we can't get them here.
Not
Someone's
allowed.
gonna have to boof them.
We'll send Jordan.
He is obsessed with that word. Maybe it's a young man's game. I didn't knowing my luck, I'd be on the plane and I'd fart it straight out and that'd be it. But what is that? That's a mangrove. Oh, give me a second and I'll try and get it back in. Bernadette, can you give me a hand, please? No, put the leaves in last. No, put the roots in first. Anyways, sorry, Ryan. Mangroves are cool. I'd love to give a mangrove a try. So if anyone wants to put one up their bum and come over to Scotland, I will meet you at the airport.
Yeah, how many would you like me to?
Well, Zach, I'm going to leave the quantity up to you. I think it would be rude of me to say I want 15 and you to say I seem to have ruptured something at 14.
I'll see what I can do.
You are a trooper.
You can't even get them to with like a research license or anything.
No, honestly, it's this strange thing. Mangroves are just like, nope. No. I mean, we can't even get a lot of cacti and succulents now, based on phytosanitary certification and things. It's getting our houseplant department was going amazing with cacti in particular with the surge in sales, and then that was the one thing they decided to stop allowing into the UK. So
What the succulent?
yeah. Okay, well, if nobody else has any other questions for Ryan, we'll wrap it up there, and we'll obviously as usual, if you want to jump into the Discord chat, feel free. Thank you so much for doing this, Ryan. Your tank is
Thank you.
absolutely amazing. Not just what's in it and your husbandry techniques, but the whole design aspect of it and the steel stand in particular. Well done.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
job, Ryan.
All right, take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. See
Bye.
ya.